Dear Nigel, thank you for doing this interview with Clusterview. We've got a few questions to ask you today.
Thanks for having me on.
What inspired you to become a football coach, and what helped your children's dreams become true?
I'd say when it all started on the coaching, I was working for a chap called Gwenberry, Curver Coaching, and I just finished, was at Woking Football Club, and it was summertime, just before doing some camps, and my eldest son was starting reception school. The head teacher, I was turned up, in the playground, had my shorts, my stuff on. It was a brand new school, and she came up to me and said, you look a sporty person, and I said, yeah, what? And she said, she was wanted to start an after-school club, a football after-school club, and if I've done anything like that before, and I said, well, I just started doing a bit of coaching, but yeah, give it a go. So that's how it really sort of started. I started with one school in Richmond. Before you know it, she introduced me to a few of her colleagues that also were head teachers in the Richmond Borough. And then I eventually had about 5 schools that I was doing the after-school clubs. And it just all turned around very, very quickly. No plan towards it. It was just my son started in reception, and I ended up doing 5 of the schools in the borough. Then we had the half term. We done a little camp at one school. We had probably about 70, 80 kids across a few of the schools. And each half term then, by the time we had the summer holidays, we had about 150 kids there. And one dad, who's become a very good friend of mine, asked me, there's a few tournaments, so should we put a few of the sides in the tournaments? And then it was like, what do we call it? And then he just put down Nigel James, elite coaching. And we went to a couple of tournaments and done extremely well, better than you expected. And then teams who we played against in the tournament, parents would come over to us as we're packing away or getting something from the tea hut and say, oh, you've got a great team, and where do you coach, where do you play? And it was like, with no coaching, or team thing, I just took a few boys within the borough from the school that we'd done after school clubs. And then from there, I decided to do something on a Saturday afternoon. So most of the kids, if they played for their local little teams and stuff as we grew, we used to coach at 2 in the afternoon till 3:30. And I knew everybody. There was no football going on at that time on like the fields. And it just sort of just grew from there. As soon as we'd done well in tournaments, another one. As my kids got older, the oldest one, Josh, he sort of like got offered by Fulham Football Club. That was his first club as under 9s, and as an under 8, players trying to get into clubs. So what we used to do, I had a great talented bunch of 8-year-olds. We used to sort of go around and play teams, and clubs would hear of the reputations, and scouts would hear of us and invite us in to play against their under 8s.
So almost like a showcase team?
Yeah. Overnight, just like a showcase team, and we'll go around, and that's how the name grew, and it was very tight. Bunch of kids we had, and yeah, we just helped them place all the boys at clubs, and just went from there. Some stayed on, even though they got signed by clubs, and continued training with us on a Friday. Because I moved from the Saturday to a Friday evening. Another night where not much football was going on, and ones who sort of developed, who pushed on, stayed working with me as well as working with their clubs. And there's some that sort of dropped out, and they end up dropping out at their clubs later on. So, but yeah, It was always good. It was good for my kids. Working, they trained with me on a Monday and a Friday, and it helped them. And when you're talking about helping, it was something different. It was something that they could come and they enjoyed. They had different friends from what they had in the academy training. We had boys who was at all different academies. When the players came in, I supplied them with decided to get my own kit. At the very beginning, players would turn up with their own kit. And you had that one, he's from Crystal Palace, that one from Arsenal.
And you wanted it to be more as a tight-knit community?
I wanted it to be so you leave your club's badge behind, and when you come in here, you're going to have this boy what's from Chelsea, and you're going to have another boy who probably plays for Kew Park Rangers or, Rocks Lane or someone like that, where it was from, like Barnes, Richmond. And I wanted everyone to feel like special, not sort of look at it and think he's really good because he's at Chelsea. No, you're all good. No. And it just grew. Reece and Lauren and a few other boys that we had trained, met new friends, and it was just something different from what they had at their clubs. And they could come in and take players on and score lots of goals and felt good. And not saying they didn't feel good at their own clubs, but it's challenging. Sometimes it's great for you, and sometimes new players come in and things don't go good for you, Yeah. There's ups and downs, and during those ups and downs, keeping the balance of them happy, they train with me.
Talking about Reece and Lauren, what's it like having two professional football players in your household family?
Well, as for any family, any father and mother and who, it's amazing. It's the fact that the journey and the ups and downs that it comes with, and you as a parent learn how to deal with things, the ups and downs, and but just seeing them fulfilling their dreams and playing, it's the best feeling ever. When your children is set out to fulfill whatever they wanted to do in life, So it's amazing just sitting back and
watching them.
I just leave them to it now. They're young people now doing their thing. They're gonna do the right things. They're gonna make mistakes, but they have to learn from it. I look at me and their mothers done our job. If they need us, they know where we are. But I don't talk to them or Lauren about their game, what they need to work on, what they need to do. I don't hardly even speak to them, to be honest. Just let them get on with what they've got to do. And if they need me, I'm there.
You've got both spectrums. You've got women's football on the rise and men's football already being so popular as it is. What is the differences in the two different games?
Well, there isn't much difference. They both play, what Lauren does as a female, how she plays the game. I was talking to my under-18 boys not so long ago, and a few of them came with me to watch a female's game towards the end of the season. And there's so much for them to learn from that, on just the way how, I look at, there's no difference at all. At that level, you've got women who could control the ball just as good as a man could control the ball, could pass the ball, could score goals, yeah? What difference is there? There's no difference at all, apart from one's a man, one's a woman, but overall, playing the game, there's no difference.
How important is early development in a football's career?
It's very important. When I look at, and I could just speak for my own children, and there's players who I've worked in the past, I've had them from a very young age. Lauren obviously had her two brothers to sort of watch with her eyes from young, from in the push year, from her running around Reece watching his older brother. You know, one of the big key ones for their development, what you had is, there was a period where Josh, it was at Fulham, he was in the under-9s at Fulham. Reece obviously was 7 and Lauren was 5. So the 5-year-old is on the sideline watching her 2 brothers. Reece was invited to train he trained with Fulham for probably the whole season, training on a Tuesday and a Thursday and a Saturday morning, being a 7-year-old with their current under-9 squad. And some Saturdays, that under-9 squad would mix with the under-10s. So when you look at it, you sit and think to yourself, he'd have under-9s or under-10s, academy Fulham boys, and he's like 7 years of age, like an under-7, training with that. So he'll train with me on a Monday, he'll do Tuesday and Thursday with Fulham, me on a Friday evening, then Fulham Saturday morning, and I run his club team, and his club team play on Sunday. So that from a 7-year-old, working with older boys, quicker boys, decision-making, stronger boys, yeah. You had to do all those, you got knocked down, you had to bounce back up, you had to learn how to beat players. So, you know, having that, and then Lauren also having that, playing with Reece's friends and playing at my academy with boys who were like 2 or 3 years older than her.
Had to be the level.
And she played in that. But we kept that, we dipped her in, dipped her out, and there was a part of it for her. I put her in some groups that some parents would have come to me and say, oh, that group's too easy for her. And I'd sometimes laugh to sit and think, what do you mean easy? Like, if you just worry about your child,
I'll worry about mine.
and I worry about mine. And there was a period where sometimes things have to look easy. And what you want the player to do is to continue making it look easy and enjoy making it look easy. So, you know, she'd turn up and she'll play on a day when she's not even feeling her best and still look $1 million. And I wanted her to do that for the 2 hours of the session, and not someone saying that she needs to come away from that because it's not challenging. There was a time to challenge her.
And that wasn't it.
Sorry?
And that wasn't the time to challenge
That wasn't the time. When I felt she was comfortable with her eyes closed with the ball at her feet, that was the time to challenge her. So when she went and trained with the boys who was a year, 2 years older than her, bear in mind, this is elite end boys, she was training with, she could earn the respect by her holding the ball and passing the ball.
Yeah.
And having that grew her to have confidence in herself because the boys looked at her as a footballer and a good. So she became their little sister, someone that they trust. And her having that development over the time, you know, when she went back into Chelsea and Arsenal, where she played as a young girl, I knew there wasn't going to be anybody that was going to sort of like stop her or challenge her. Her biggest challenge
Was herself.
Was herself and her playing with elite end boys 2 years older than her.
Talking about injuries in the programme, as we know, your boy, Reece, he's just coming out of injury now for Chelsea. How can we help boys in semi-pro football and non-league football get better help when they get injured?
Well, one of the things you always look at is in the sort of non-league game, at the higher level, there's more money around to invest in having the right physios and stuff. But, you know, when you're talking more like at the bottom level, you know, when there's money involved, before money should be distributed to players, I think it should be, number one, the sort of like physios
Invested in the club.
In the club, and having the right people in the club to help the players when they have an injury, than just having someone with a basic first aid knowledge who's confident to sort of like, you know, run on the sideline and says he's looking after a player. You know, so if the investment was to be put in that sort of department and getting the right physios and stuff in place, I think that's a starting point.
Are you a Chelsea fan? And if you are not a Chelsea fan, what's it like watching your team play against Chelsea?
I'm not a Chelsea fan, but obviously when you have two children and you've been involved with the club, obviously there is you do end up supporting Chelsea. My first club first football game I ever went to was Southampton. I had a trial with them, so having your first trial with a football club, that was quite special. And then followed off by the trial off the back of that, when I was invited to go to the old Dell and end up seeing Matt Letizia. So I grew up watching Southampton, supporting Southampton. I just liked just the way it was a player that sort of like ran the whole team. He sort of like dictated and won games single-handed for himself, and the ability what Matt Letizia had. So I ended up supporting Southampton, and when my kids was young, I did try to go Southampton with them, but I think the very first two times I looked to go there, there was a lot of traffic on the M3, and we just looked at each other and thought to myself, we can't do that. And then, you know, Cobham was only 20 minutes down the road. So Chelsea won, and at the time for that. And but yeah, Chelsea is you know, it's like family to me. We've been there from the age of 6 years of age, a long time now. Seen a lot of changes. But yeah, we all as a family love the club, and you know, as long as you know my kids are there, yeah, we'll continue to support him.
As a Chelsea fan myself, I love watching Reece James play, and his natural position as a right back. He loves to cross the ball into the box. What else would you say is a strong part of his game?
His intelligence is number one. His intelligence, his ball comfort, how he could deal with football, but his mentality to deal with pressure, and you know, he keeps impressing me as he gets older each time, and to have that, and you need to have this to be able to play at this elite level.
Would you ever want your boy to move on from Chelsea, or would you like him to stay at the club?
Listen, we'd always love, you know, as I said before, Chelsea has become like family to me. But as we all know, it's a job. And, you know, as long as Chelsea want you to stay there and Reece is happy, Reece will be there. We've seen many players that love Chelsea, but because of whatever reason, they end up moving on. So it's something what's out of our control. It's the club, it's what Reece does, and it's business at the end of the day. So if everything goes well, yeah, of course you'd love your son to fulfil and your daughter to fulfil the rest of their career at Chelsea. It'll make life easier for me travelling as well. And I've met some great friends at Chelsea Football Club, and yeah, as I said, it's a great family there.
Talking about Lauren, do you see a lot of the same attributes in Lauren's game and Reece's game?
Ball comfort, the understanding. Yeah, they're brother and sister, so, you know.
A lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Aggression is a big word in football, but how can we keep aggression off the pitch?
Aggression. How would you describe aggression?
For me, growing up, aggression was going to get the ball, coming hard, making sure you're getting the ball, not letting the player beat the man. But into new football, I'm seeing a lot of more aggression become mental. It becomes angry, sliding tackles, big tackles, hurting, trying to hurt players. Where can we cut that line and make it where it just stays on the pitch and try and keep it more controlled?
See, I don't see it like that anymore. Players can't tackle anymore. You know, what I remember growing up seeing, you know, Roy Keane, David Batty putting a tackle in, those tackles, you don't see them Paul Ince putting a tackle. You know, all you just got to do is touch a player and it's a free kick now. So players don't tackle how they used to tackle, you know, but we still seem to have these injuries. You know, maybe we had less of injuries when back in the days when people did tackle, you know, but the tackling is not like how it used to be.
Talking about injuries again, I was signed at Millwall.
Okay.
I got released, and so I done my MCL and ACL playing on football pitch on that
Horrible.
3G.
Yeah.
It just gets stuck under your foot, and then I went and played non-league, and I snapped my ankle playing on a non-league pitch. But just because as I've moved, the player was in the way, it's slightly uneven ground, my ankle just rolled, snap. So that's the pitches for me. Unfortunately they haven't got the money to put into the pitches like a professional club. But I do feel that is a lot of the reason why injuries are getting done. And especially these half grass, half 3G pitches, they're too thick under the ball. You start to getting stuck. Every time you're trying to open up, they're getting stuck under the pitch. Your MCL and ACL just go. So.
It's one of them ones, it's hard for clubs. Everyone wants to play on grass, but, you know, it's just not sustainable.
Exactly.
On grass. So you need to have the 4G, whatever you call it now these days, just to sort of like play all year round, and you could rent it out to make revenue for the club. If it's grass pitches, you know, it becomes very, very difficult to play games.
As a coach, would you advise parents to have their children join an academy first or grassroots club and build up their career?
Interesting question. If you have the ability and the opportunity to join an academy, you take it. Yeah. Because you might not, you may miss things.
Might not get that opportunity again.
You might not get that opportunity again. You might pick up real bad habits. It's part like you might get a coach that understands what he's doing and knows what he's doing from grassroots, or you've got someone who pretends they know what they're doing, and they talk the good talk, and they persuade other parents that they know what they're talking about. Yep. And they might be doing it by saying you've got to enjoy grassroots football. Enjoy. What do you mean enjoy? You could go and enjoy academy football. Yeah. So why should it be a grassroots coach trying to influence a parent to say you need to stay and do grassroots football? The kids who stay and do grassroots football are the kids what's not ready for academy football yet.
No.
Right? And if you've got the ability and the opportunity to be signed as an academy player, you have to give your child that opportunity.
As a football coach yourself, do you get a lot of parents coming up to you asking about moving their children into different groups? Would you agree with just trusting the coach?
100%. My journey on going through it, I've gone through, I would say I've done it all. Yeah. There's not much people I've met. There isn't anyone I've met who's had a son and daughter who's achieved what they're doing now. And I also have a son who was there and has not made it. So I've ticked all the boxes. I know how it feels as a parent when your other son doesn't make it, and I know how it feels when your son makes it and your daughter's made it. Now, I'd honestly sit and say that I don't think there's anyone that's achieved that yet. Now, when I look at the sessions, and I have parents that come and they say to me, "Oh, my son should, should move up a group and so on. If you trust the process, just allow the coach to get on with what they got to do. I was one of those parents that used to go and question the academy staff, at Reading, at Chelsea, at Arsenal, and I'd sit and say, could my son play up? And when you keep interfering with stuff, you get people coaches and management that will smile with you and make you feel that everything's okay, but you become the biggest problem, and they don't like it. I'm witnessing it with parents coming to tell me, and sometimes there's some people I just turn around and say, listen, your son's not going to move up. I've been doing this a long time. I'm not going to tolerate you telling me or asking me what to do. If you want to go to another soccer school, I could direct you in many soccer schools where you could go, and just because you think you're paying your money, you're going to dictate to how it's done. I'll show you where to go. So, and I've learned that just keep your mouth shut, okay, and trust the process, and if you don't, find somewhere else that you do trust, was proven. And if you have that, okay, because no one knows what's going to happen, but to give your child the best opportunity, the club needs to feel they want to work with that family.
Brilliant. How do you tailor your coaching techniques to address the varying skill levels and personalities of the players within your team?
We've got a lot of skilled coaches that, have played the game, been professionals, coached, at the highest level. I'm very lucky to have a team of experts. So they know the levels and how to push players and what sessions to put on, to really test the players. So, if you come down one day and see one of the sessions and meet some of my coaches and stuff, you will see.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
How does it feel as a parent to watch your children on TV score a goal or play in the Champions League or play a high-level game? How does it feel for you?
Listen, for me, it's and my family, it's amazing watching, just seeing them fulfil their dreams from a young, working, So regardless, they win, they lose, they get sent off, or whatever they do, I'm proud of them. Because the journey, what it took to get to where they are now, okay, they've achieved it. And I just look back and just say to myself, I'm just proud that they're doing. So whatever they do, it goes well, it doesn't go well, I'm proud of them. Because I know how hard this journey is to get where they are today. So, every day when I look at them and they're playing, there's a little smile
on your face.
Yeah, you have to be. Yeah, they lose a game, I'm still smiling. They score a goal and it's the same, because I look and sit and think to myself, is this really happening? Am I dreaming? Is this real? This is real. This is real. And I have to be proud of everything they've achieved.
What advice can you give to young football players or to parents that are trying to get their kids to that place?
It's one where to be a footballer, it takes so much to be a footballer, because you could be a footballer playing non-league, you could be a footballer playing in League Two, and it comes with, reaching standards, how you behave yourself as a player, how you conduct yourself on the pitch, do you know your roles, can you deal with it? There's so much variations on what to do. The key thing for me is to start with is you need to support your child, okay, and enjoy, but also know that they might not make it.
Yeah, the unrealistic standards of every kid becoming a football player.
Yep, and not to neglect their education, their schoolwork, okay? That is the most important thing, that their education, their schoolwork, okay? I met up with a dad not so long ago. His son is playing for a Cat 1 academy, a big London club. He's just going into the under-16s, and I saw him, and I just said to him, I said, "Oh, how's it going?" I said, "How's it going?" And it was like, yeah. And just by talking to him, just for that first 5 minutes, he was talking like he knew more than me. And I just thought to myself, like, if I was you, someone like me, yeah, I would be trying to absorb as much information, yeah, as much as I can, because he wants to be me one day, right? And the way he was talking, it was like I was scratching my head, thinking to myself, the way he's talking, like his son's going to make it, yeah, and he's going to do like what I've done or more. And you sit and think, what more can you achieve? My son's won the Champions League, he's captain of Chelsea, yeah. What my daughter's done, what more is there you could do? And so you just have to just leave people to that if they don't want to listen. But I know me personally, yeah, when I was growing up, I was going to get advice, talking to Roy Massey, Liam Brady, Neil Bath, yeah, Jim Fraser. I was talking to Eamon Dolan, who was a legend at Reading, who produced so many players, yeah. I went to get information from the best in the business, yeah. I had to learn to sit and think, when there was something that I was upset about, yeah, or I thought was wrong, yeah, before I mentioned it to Reece or when I spoke to the coach, I went to speak with those professionals just to see, and for them to turn around and say, don't worry about that. It's not important he plays 420s. Yeah, sometimes he's going to play 420. Sometimes he's going to play 220s. Yeah, sometimes we're going to move him up. Yeah, sometimes he's going to play in his own age group. Yeah, sometimes he's going to play in his own age group with maybe half the team being younger ones moved up. Yeah, it's an all test. Yeah, but it's not something that we're embarrassing you as a parent, and you've made friends with other parents and their son's playing up and you feel you're being left out, and now your son doesn't feel good and he's feeling, oh, no, enjoy it. And I was listening to something, an ex-academy manager was talking about not so long ago, about, you're not playing for Chelsea against Arsenal. You're playing football.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't play for the club until you play for the first team. Do you know? So you just have to just enjoy it and just tell these kids, enjoy, go and enjoy it. And parents, just be parents and don't look too much ahead of the game.
Will you be excited to coach your grandchildren one day?
Well, we're a bit far off from having grandchildren at the moment, hopefully. But to be honest, to that question, no. I'd want to be, as I'm now like the father, I'd want to be like the grandfather. I don't believe I'd have the energy
Do it again.
to do it again on what I've given to my children, because I've given my life, all my energy into them, and like right now, I am how I am, but I feel I'm broken because the energy and everything, the fights that I've had to put in, yeah, I couldn't go through that again.
So when the time does occur, you just want to be a granddad and just watch.
I'm going to be granddad what's just going to sit and pick my grandkids up from school and have funny jokes with them, and I'll find a coach that will coach them and see what happens from there. But to drive it, no, the energy. That's why my youngest daughter, who's 8, we kept her away from football. And I wanted her to do something that what she wants to do, and not been in an environment where everybody is like looking at her to make comparisons to, is she like her brother, is she like her sister, for her to feel that. she does gymnastics, she loves gymnastics, she meet a different type of people that are not going to make comparisons, because you're not. But her with football at her feet, someone is always going to be sitting talking about is she as good as her sister, is she as good as her brother, and that wasn't going to be right for her. In years to come, if she wants to play football, she'll play football. But I didn't want to make her feel
That she had to.
she had to, or she was in a race against her brother and sister.
Nigel, thank you so much for doing this interview with Cluster View. My name's Garner, and this is The Young Coach.